This weekend, on the 31st of January, Alexander Volkanovski will defend his featherweight championship against Diego Lopes, and he may become the first male fighter in almost 4 months to successfully defend a UFC championship. Going off of the first fight, if Volkanovski could repeat the exact same game plan that he did against Lopes in their first fight, I think Volk's going to win again. Because in their first fight, Lopes was barely throwing, and that allowed Volk to take over. Volk was using the jab very, very well. He was moving well, angling off. Every time he threw the jab, angle off, and Lopes couldn't throw back. Lopes wasn't throwing pretty much nearly all fight until the last few seconds of round 5 and in round 2 when he dropped Volkanovski. Lopes wasn't doing anything. He was just kind of standing there with his hands up, and he was sweating like crazy. He needed to make it a dogfight, and he wasn't able to do it. Whether that was because of the feints of Volk or whether he was worried of the counter shots, I don't know, but Lopes, he didn't do anything pretty much in that entire fight. There was no action from Lopes, and that allowed Volk to take over, use the jab, lots of nice combinations, good right hand every now and again, and it put Volk ahead 49-46 on I think all 3 judges' scorecards on that night. Volk needs to do exactly the same. Jab, angle off, and decision himself to a win. That's all he needs to do, because that's what he did in the first fight. Lopes, he needs to throw some kicks. He needs to absolutely throw kicks, because this is what Makhachev did against Volk. Makhachev said it himself.
Before the fight, we make the plan. We have to kick him a lot, because this guy is short, we have to kick him a lot, keep him in the distance, because he really good to close distance, To the keeping in distance, you have to use a lot of kicks.
And that's what he did, very effectively, and ended up getting the knockout over Volkanovski in their second fight. So I think Lopes could employ a similar game plan because he's a similar height to Makhachev. I think they're both 5'11". Yeah, sure. Lopes doesn't have the same power as Makhachev probably because Makhachev's big guy, 170 now. Lopes is only 145. But still, man, I think Lopes, if he can kick low for a good portion of the first few rounds and then go high every now and again, he could do what Makhachev did and get a head kick in there. If Volk wants to win and he wants to retain, he's just got to be Volk. He's just got to be himself. Same thing as the first fight. Footwork, head movement, jab, distance, shoot every now and again, angle off, then it's in the bag. Because that's what Volkanovski does, and that's why he's one of the greatest fighters ever to live in UFC history. Another thing with Lopes is he wasn't moving his head, as in at all. Lopes, he was just eating jabs and he wasn't doing anything about it. There was no parrying, there was no moving the head, there was no throwing back after Volk threw a jab or anything like that, just nothing. He showed nothing in the first fight. Maybe that was just nerves of fighting Alexander The Great Volkanovski. Maybe that was nerves, fighting for a title. Nerves of I think that was his first 5-round fight in the UFC. Maybe it was all just nerves. He wanted to preserve his stamina. Maybe he'll do better in the second fight. We don't know. But all I'm going to say is I think Volk absolutely has this in the bag. And another thing I want to talk about is, should Volkanovski retire after this fight? Because realistically, I think he should. I think he's at the end of his career. And what more is there left to prove? He's got nothing else to prove. He's done it all. He's tried to go for a second belt. He's been featherweight champion twice now. He's beaten legends like Max Holloway. He beat Korean Zombie. He's beaten everyone here to beat. There's nothing else for him to do. He beat Max Holloway 3 times. Demolished him in the last one. I think he beat Aldo as well. There's nothing else for Volkanovski to do. He's done everything he has to do in the UFC. He's completed all his tasks. And I think he should just move on and enjoy life. I know he said that he took the Makhachev fight, the second one, on short notice because, when he's not training for a fight, he just doesn't feel right in himself. And it's hard to hear from a legend like Volkanovski because as fans, we don't want the fighters to suffer when they're outside of the cage. We want them to be happy. We want them to have nice lives. We don't want them going through mental issues and having, bad brain defects and, Parkinson's and brain damage related injuries and extra concussions that they don't need later on in life that could affect them in horrible, horrible ways. We don't want that. We want the best for the fighters as fans. And I think as a fan of the sport and as a fan of Volkanovski, obviously, who isn't, he should retire. And they should just do Lerone Murphy versus Movsar Evloev for the belt. That's how it should be if Volk retires. If Volk wants to fight one more, he should defend against either Movsar or Murphy. Preferably Murphy, because Murphy's been more active. He fought twice in 2025. Movsar, he's not fought since UFC 310. That was December 8th, 2024. That was a long while ago now. It's not great. Movsar needs to fight again soon, and if it's not for a belt, if he's not fighting for a belt next, he needs to fight someone else in the rankings high up, because this is getting ridiculous now. I know he's waiting for a title shot and he deserves it, but that's allowing other fighters to catch up, like Murphy. Movsar needs to stay active. But anyways, enough about that. That's a whole different topic. Volkanovski, I think, is going to beat Lopes again. Decision. I think it's going to be a harder fight, though. Much harder fight. I think Lopes will be more active. Or he has to be if he wants to win, because he did nothing in the first fight. That's all I've got to say about that. Good luck to both fighters. I think Volkanovski's going to win. I hope he does. I don't want him to retire on a loss in his home country of Australia. Would be quite sad, but I can't wait for it. Should be a good one.